It's like the spacecraft just now broke in. Everything's working just perfectly.
Yet Cassini's days are now numbered. It is running out of fuel. And before that happens, the spacecraft has to be set on a course that will ensure it will not crash into one of Saturn's moons that might harbor life.
Given that Enceladus now appears to have all the ingredients that could harbor life, we have new rules. And frankly, we have a very nice home for microbes. It's room temperature inside the spacecraft. A hardy microbe could easily have hitched a ride along. We went through a lot of studies on disposal options for the spacecraft. Some of them were to take it into a very long, loopy orbits of Saturn, where it would be stable for thousands of years. But the scientific benefit wasn't there. We also had options to go back to Jupiter, go out to Uranus, go to the Trojan asteroids. We could have exercised a lot of those options, but none of them had the strength and appeal of a scientific mission at Saturn. We were built for Saturn. Saturn was absolutely just bristling with things we hadn't yet explored. Once we chose to stay, we had to figure out how to dispose of the spacecraft cleanly.
It's decided to end the mission by plunging Cassini into Saturn, but not before attempting to dive 22 times between the planet and the rings, a place no spacecraft has ever been.
अगर आप नहीं जानते स्पेस टाइम के बारे में तो अभी जाइए क्योंकि लाइव चल रही है।
This is where Cassini is right now in its orbit of Saturn. It's below the ring plane, which goes out here. We'll come over the top of the rings again in a few days. We do this every 7.5 days. On April 22nd, the spacecraft will fly fairly close to Saturn's big moon, Titan. And Titan has enough gravitation that we can use it to trade orbital momentum between Titan going around Saturn and the spacecraft going around Saturn. And with that trade-off, a marvelous thing happens. The orbit of the spacecraft jumps inward towards Saturn so that the next close flyby of Saturn will be in between the rings and Saturn's atmosphere. Is that dangerous? We don't really know, but who knows? We might run into some big ring particles in there that we can't see in our observations. If that happens, oh well, it's been a good mission. If it doesn't clobber the spacecraft right away, then we'll have 22 more flights through, all the way out 1,000,000 miles. It's a 1,000,000-mile high roller coaster. Picture yourself going click, 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 click up a huge roller coaster. And then starting in, it's just falling. As we whip through the space between the rings and planet, we'll be going 120,000 kilometers per hour. The most important thing, I think, is the moment when Cassini's signal reaches the Earth. That means that the spacecraft has gone through, I don't know, maybe 1,000 different commands, turning the spacecraft, operating the cameras and spectrometers and dust detectors and magnetometer. They make their observation. The spacecraft keeps turning and twisting to point everything. And the moment the signal hits Earth, we know that all of that in the past day has been successful. And I think that's party time.
But before there can be party time, there's the less glamorous work of creating those commands, and sometimes testing them in tucked-away labs.
I think we're good to go. Well, this is another C kernel. So after this meeting, I'm going to have to switch out this C kernel for 467. This is 444.
Okay.
And this won't run in real time because it's synced up to the real spacecraft. So we're just going to leave it sitting there so it's got a reminder of when the first one is.
Right. So the first AACS command is at 10:52:38. Yeah, this is interesting.
What we're setting up is we're practicing a main engine maneuver we could need in the last few weeks of the mission to either come up out of the atmosphere or go down into the atmosphere. So actually we're just simulating about a 1 meter per second main engine burn. So the engine's going to burn for how many seconds?
I'm not sure actually.
4 or 5 seconds?
Do you remember?
Jody?
Joni, how long does the burn last? On 1 meter?
About 6 seconds.
6. Okay. And what the spacecraft does is the spacecraft always starts from Earth point, and it does a roll, and then it does a yaw, and then you'll unyaw, and then unwind, and come back to Earth point, and then relay all the data back down to Earth. We'll be able, because we're in the integrated test lab, we'll be able to see all the data in real time. So we're actually going to call it out in real time since we're practicing it.
What does SWAMBO stand for?
It stands for She Who Always Must Be Obeyed.
It should take about 29 minutes.
So here it is, wind yaw turn. And they're calling something out right now.
System?
Systems.
Systems. The wind roll turn is complete. The reaction wheels have powered off.
Oh, there it is.
Up, here we go. Hey, attitude control.
You weren't listening.
Nope. I wasn't listening.
They said it.
Okay.
Tina called it out.
Tina, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
You and Masashi are going to have to speak up. You're going to have to develop your Julie voice.
She was literally just saying the words, "Oh, I have to announce," when you said, "Call out the burn status."
It is now more than a month later. All of the testing of commands is over. And on this evening, team members and their families and friends have gathered to see if Cassini will survive its first plunge between the rings and Saturn. The event has been given a name, Gateway to the Grand Finale.
Well, I just want to welcome everyone to our Gateway to Cassini's Grand Finale. And this is a Cassini family event, and I'm so happy to see so many people here to share in what's about to happen tonight.
In 1990, Linda Spilker stood on this same stage speaking of Saturn's rings.
Saturn's rings are more transitory elements of the
Now,
solar
3
system.
decades later, she is Cassini's project scientist and this evening's master of ceremonies.
So at midnight tonight will be the first time Cassini turns back to the Earth, sends a signal, and lets us know that it successfully navigated through this gap where it's flown for the very, very first time. So we have a lot in store. It'll be very exciting.
While awaiting news at midnight, updates are given on Cassini's latest science discoveries, and a time-honored JPL ritual is acknowledged.
Now, I'm not particularly superstitious, but you know there's a long-standing JPL tradition. So last night, I went out and I decided we needed to have some lucky peanuts, just in case. And I thought about it some more and I thought, maybe we need 2 jars of lucky peanuts. And with that, I'd like to introduce the Cassini Virtual Singers. The Virtual Singers really take the heart and the soul of Cassini and capture it with music. So, tonight, live from JPL in Pasadena, California, just back from their multi-world tour, we now have the Cassini Virtual Singers.
Cassini flies over the ocean. Cassini flies over the seas. Cassini flies through the rings. Oh, send your data to me. Send back, oh send back. Send back your data to me, to me. Send back, oh send back. Send back your data to me. Send back, oh send back. Send back your data to me, to me. Send back, oh send back. Send back your data to me.
As the Cassini singers take their bows, flight team members slip away to take up their positions on console in mission control.
I-85 by also. Power, voice check on FSO cord.
I-85 by 5, Obi.
I-85 by also.
Yes, sir. Two notes pass along.
Check on FSO cord.
I-85 by 5.
I-85 by also. Flight Director and Project Manager, I'd like to announce at this time that all stations are ready to support. Copy it.
Copy that. Thank you.
Flight Director and Project Manager, I'd like to announce at this time that all stations are ready to support. Copy it.
Copy that. Thank you.
Okay, what we're looking at here is the mission support area, and they each have their various stations looking at different aspects of the spacecraft, and they just went through a check to make sure that everyone can hear everyone else in the MSA, and we also have sound into that room as well. So Eric, do you want to talk about what we're seeing on the screen over here?
Yeah, so on the left, that is the signal that Deep Space Network is currently detecting, which is nothing. It's just a flat noise signal right now. But what we're all going to be looking for here is for a spike to pop up out of that noise. And when we see that spike, it means that we're receiving a signal from Cassini.
We have X-band carrier signal detection in the open loop receiver.
That's a nice booming signal. So the carrier signal is there. We'll have to wait a few more minutes until that we'll see if there's actual data flowing. But this is a great sign. Woo!
Receiving back Cassini's carrier tone means the spacecraft has survived the first dive.
Signal just came booming through right on time. Couldn't have been better.
Along with feelings of relief is the hope that science data will soon begin to flow. But now comes a moment of confusion. How to best listen for Cassini's signal.
SCO Systems, Cassini Ace, the station is currently looking for the X-band one-way carrier signal, and they're also going to attempt to lock up to the 1896 rate, so stand by one, I'll let you know if they get it.
Ace, this is Flight Director. Don't have them lock up on the 1896.
Okay, you just wanted to look for carrier? And SCO Systems, Cassini Ace, the station has locked up to the X-band one-way signal at neg 140 dB, which is expected for the 1896 rate.
No.
Copy.
SCO Systems, this is Nav.
Nav, go ahead.
We're seeing a one-way Doppler signature.
Copy.
The moment of uncertainty ends as quickly as it began, and Cassini begins transmitting its science data sooner than expected.
Flight Director on net. Well, we're waiting for 12:05, but it looks like we're early.
Playback is locked.
Copy.
Oh my God.
Well, if there's any more questions, I'd be happy to take questions. I mean, this is the big moment that we waited for. And it's here, and it's every bit as good as we had hoped.
We're okay for 22 weeks. We're okay now.
The spacecraft went through the ring plane just clean as can be. There were no indications of fault protection. Telemetry data playback is exactly where it's supposed to be. we can all go home. We don't have to spend all night fixing everything up. The spacecraft's in perfect shape.
One more.
System lead, this is ACS. ACS, go ahead. The downlink roll has started. At this time, we would like to report that all the initial conditions checked out. Initial attitude and wheel speeds look good. All instruments are on. The star tracker is tracking 5 stars, so that looks good. Both sun sensors A and B are both on, so they match each other's telemetry at this time. We're waiting for the roll to give us a full quadrant checkout for the rest of the pass. Other than that, ACS looks great. Copy. Flight Director and Project Manager, this is Systems Lead. All subsystems have reported in, including the SIP lead at this time, and everything is nominal.
Congratulations, everyone.
Copy. Copy.
Hello everyone, I'm Ye Hill and welcome to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. After 2 decades in space, NASA's Cassini spacecraft reached the end of its remarkable journey of exploration. Today, the spacecraft made its final approach to the giant planet and plunged into the Saturn's upper atmosphere, ending this extraordinary mission. But due to the vast distance between Earth and
the Cassini mission has actually not ended. Not yet. The grand finale event is still a week away. This is a rehearsal.
The sun isn't up yet, and more than 1,500 Cassini scientists, engineers, alumni, their friends and family have gathered in Mission Control here, Von Karman Auditorium at JPL, Beckman Auditorium at Caltech.
What's true for engineers is also true for JPL's public communications team. A little pre-planning to work out the kinks can be worth its weight in gold.
Australia, it's 4 a.m. here in California. The loss of signal really happened at about 3:30 Pacific time, a half hour ago. Why is the team here?
We thought it'd be over.
We will be checking back with you in just a couple more minutes. There is a huge crowd at Beckman Auditorium at Caltech right now. Cassini science team member Morgan Cable is there. Morgan, what is it like out there?
Hi, Gay. This is Morgan here at Caltech, and the atmosphere is electric.
I believe we're going to a bumper.
And I'm one of those hoping that Cassini will hang in there and fight for the very last seconds of data.
What's going on?
Well, we've just got the word that the Cassini has given us its last bit of data. The room is celebrating, lots of hugs going on, a few tears.
With me now is NASA Director of Planetary Science, Jim Green. Jim, thanks for joining us.
You know, Gay, this really has been a historic mission.
Before we do that, let's take a moment to chat with JPL Director Mike Watkins. What's your feeling about the success of the Cassini mission?
You know, I could not be more proud about the role that we've had in this mission.
With me now is Alvaro Jimenez, the ESA Director, and the Director of Science, ESA Director of Science, Roberto Battiston.
But all kidding aside, the planning paid off. For the elaborate multimedia and interactive coverage of Cassini's grand finale would be watched by millions.
And the Emmy goes to NASA JPL Cassini's grand finale.
And earned JPL its first ever Emmy.
I got to thank the stars that made a bunch of geeky rocket scientists, rocket engineers and scientists into rock stars.
Here's the Huygens image of the gullies.
Less than a week remains before Cassini's end, and team members from around the world are arriving to take part in the grand finale. This is the final meeting of the Science Radar Group.
So we've actually been at this for 40 years. This is an image from 1976. It's one of Bruce Murray's Purple Pigeon projects. And here's what became the Huygens probe, beaming the data to Cassini, which he's flying by. So that far in time, and I want to make a caveat.
As they meet, 1 billion miles away, Cassini is flying by Titan for the last time.
Right now, Cassini is flying close to Titan, 74,000 miles away. And Titan's gravity has given Cassini its final push, its goodbye kiss, and its fate is sealed. Wow. And toast to great spacecraft, a wonderful mission, and our final pass by Titan. I worked on the Cassini mission for over 30 years, and that's the time it takes Saturn to circle the sun a single time. And when you work on a mission for that long of a time, and when you work for people, many of whom stayed and were there as long as I was, you really start to feel like family. You get to know each other, you take vacations together, you attend meetings together, you see your families grow up together. And then when the mission ends, it's hard because you know you'll keep in touch with this family, these people who feel like friends, and yet you also know you'll go your separate ways.
So for the people who have been with the team from the beginning, thank you, and I hope you found this. You are now 30 years wiser and smarter, and this has been a great experience. But for the people who joined later, hopefully you found that also a great stepping stone and great experience for you guys to lead the future of planetary exploration. So thank you again.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Where are the cookies?
The next day, Cassini engineers gather for their last in-flight operations meeting.
5502 is when we predict to hit 100% duty cycle, and AACS predicts loss of signal 12 seconds after that.
Navigation, Dwayne.
As of yesterday at about 1:30 in the afternoon, we had our last Titan flyby, and we're on our way into Saturn now.
DSN, Mike.
So we had 7 passes last week, 14 command files, including the last set of built. So we have no more commanding for real time.
S101, Jan.
Okay, the spacecraft's basically nominal. We have no new ISAs, no other errors. And then basically we've got the end of the sequence. We're just clocking out.
Here we are knowing that this is the end is very sad, but knowing in a mission like Cassini, where we had an ending date, we had a sequence of events to follow, gave us some purpose.
All the team stepped up. I'm very grateful for all your support, and I just want to say thank you.
Does anyone else have anything?
Yeah. Just because everyone else has piled on with the thank yous, you here and in the room and out on the phone have rocked the world. And this is our last meeting with the spacecraft, but it has just been an incredible ride. I am very, very proud to have been associated with all of you. And as an incentive for next meeting, when we don't have a spacecraft, we will bring donuts.
Thanks, everyone.
I know you already told me, but